My name is Martha. I am an old woman now. I am not young anymore. I am 76 years old. My hair is grey, and my face has many lines. My hands have many wrinkles. I have lived many years. I have seen many things. But I remember my teenage years very well. I often think about those days. Those days were hard for me, but they taught me many lessons. When I was young, no one believed in me. My father would say, "You are lazy. You will fail in life." Now I am going to see my son. It has been a long time. The plane is ready to leave. People talk, some laugh, some are quiet. A voice says, "Please fasten your seatbelt." I listen. I follow the instructions. The plane starts moving. My heart feels heavy. So many memories. I think about the last time I saw my son. He was young. He had big dreams. He said, "Mom, I want to study. I want a better life." I said, "Go, my son. Learn. Be strong." Then he left. Years passed. Letters came. Then phone calls. But I never saw him again. Now I have a ticket. I have a seat. I have a destination. I closed my eyes for a moment. My son said, "Come visit me, Mum." I said, "Yes, my son. It is time." A voice interrupts my thoughts. "Would you like something to drink?" I open my eyes. I look at the flight attendant. I say, "Just water, please." She gives me a small cup. I hold it. The plane is quiet now. I hear whispers. I hear footsteps. But my mind is in the past. I remember when I was young. Life was different, hard. I worked every day. I helped my family. I had dreams too. But I waited. I waited for the right time. Did I make the right choice? Voices. Did I do enough? The plane moves smoothly. I think about my son. Will he recognize me? Will he still need me? My journey is not just to another city. It is a journey through time, through memories, through life. I was not always an old woman. I was once a young girl. My family was poor. We did not have much. Every day we worked. My father worked in the fields. My mother cooked and cleaned. I helped her. That was my life. One day I heard children reading. Their voices were clear. They repeated words. I wanted to learn. I said, "Father, can I go to school?" He looked at me. He shook his head. "No, Lillian. Girls do not need school. Girls take care of the house." I did not answer. But inside, I felt something. A small fire. A question. Why? Why could boys learn? Why not me? At night I listened to my brothers. They talked about school. They had books. When they slept, I took a book. I opened it. I looked at the letters. I traced them with my finger. I whispered the words. I did not understand everything, but I tried. My mother saw me. She said, "Martha, you must sleep." I said, "I want to learn." She sighed. She did not stop me. Years passed. I learned little by little. I listened. I copied words. I asked questions. Some people laughed. "Why do you try? You are a girl." But I did not stop. Then I grew older. My father said, "It is time to marry." I did not want to marry. I wanted to work. I wanted to learn more. I said, No, Father, I want a different life. He was angry. He did not understand. I left my home. I was afraid. But I knew one thing. I wanted more. I wanted a future. I wanted to prove that I could be more than what others expected. I left my home with nothing. No money, no plan, only hope. I walked to the next town, Riverton. I looked for work. People said, "You are a woman. What can you do?" I said, "I can work hard." A kind woman gave me a job. She had a small store. She said, "You can clean. You can help with the customers." I said, "Yes, thank you." I worked every day, morning to night. I listened to people talk. I learned new words. I watched how they bought things. I watched how the woman managed the money. One day I said, "Can you teach me to count money?" She looked at me. She smiled. "Yes, Martha, I will teach you." I learned fast. I worked hard. Soon I was not just cleaning. I was selling. I was helping. People started to know me. They said, "Martha is smart. Martha is good at business." I saved money. It was not much, but it was mine. Then one day I made a big decision. I said, "I want my own store." The woman laughed. "That is not easy, Martha." I said, "I know. But I will try." I found a small space. I bought a few things to sell. I opened my store. At first, nobody came. People said, "She is just a woman. She will fail." But I did not stop. I smiled. I welcomed everyone. I spoke kindly. Slowly, people came. They bought small things, then more. My store grew. One day a man came. He looked at me. He said, "You are different. You are strong." I did not know what to say. He came back the next day, and the next. He asked me, "Will you marry me?" I thought of my father's words. It is time to marry. But this time, I had a choice. I was not a girl with no power. I was a woman who had built something. I looked at the man. I said, "Yes, but only if you respect me. Only if you let me keep my dreams." He smiled. "Yes, Martha." We married. We worked together. We grew the business. Then we had a son, Daniel, my son. I held him in my arms. I looked at his small face. I made a promise. I whispered, "You will have a better life. You will go to school. You will learn." Years passed. My son grew. He was smart. He loved books. One day he said, "Mum, I want to study in Portland." My heart felt heavy. I wanted him close. But I remembered my own past. I remembered my dreams. I smiled. I said, "Go, my son. Learn. Be strong." He packed his things. He hugged me. He said, "I will write to you, Mum. I will call." Then he left, and I waited. I waited for his letters. I waited for his voice on the phone. I waited for the day I would see him again. Years passed. My son was far away. At first, he wrote letters. He called me. He said, "Mum, I am studying. I am learning so much." I smiled. I felt proud. Then the letters came less. The phone calls were short. He said, "Mum, I am busy. I have exams. I have work." I understood. But my heart felt empty. One day I waited for his call. The phone did not ring. The next day, nothing. A week passed, a month. I wrote a letter. "My son, are you okay?" No answer. I asked myself, did he forget me? Did I send him too far? One night I sat alone. The store was closed. The house was quiet. I looked at the empty chair. That was my son's chair. But he was not here. I thought, maybe he does not need me anymore. Maybe I should not have let him go. Then one day a letter came. My hand shook as I opened it. "Mum, I miss you. I have a good job now. I want to see you. Please come visit me." Tears filled my eyes. I touched the paper. My son had not forgotten me. He still wanted me. But could I go? Could I leave everything? I sat for a long time. Then I made a decision. I would go. I bought a ticket. I packed a small bag. The day of my flight, I stood at the airport. I'd never been on a plane before. Everything was new. I felt small. A voice said, "Passengers, please board now." I took a deep breath. I walked forward. I entered the plane. I sat down. The seat belt felt tight. The plane moved. My heart beat fast. The engine roared. The plane lifted. I was in the air. I thought, this is it. I'm going to see my son. But one question stayed in my mind. Will he recognize me? I looked at my hands. They were old now. My hair was white. My face had lines. My son had left when he was young. Now he was a man. Will he still see me as his mother? Will he hug me like before? I closed my eyes. The memories came back. His small hands holding mine. His voice saying, "Mom, tell me a story." His laughter filling the house. Now he was far away. He had his own life. He was not a boy anymore. What if he has changed? What if he does not need me? The plane flew through the sky. I held the letter in my hands. My son's words were there. "Mum, I want to see you." But a voice inside me asked, what if he only says that because he feels guilty? What if he does not really want me there? The plane would land soon. My journey was almost over. But my biggest question was still unanswered. Will my son welcome me? Or will I be a stranger to him now? Chapter 2. The plane started to descend. The voice said, "We will land soon." My hands felt cold. My heart was beating fast. This is it. I will see my son. But I was afraid. I thought, what if he is not there? What if he changed his mind? The plane landed. People stood up. They took their bags. I sat for a moment. I took a deep breath. Then I stood up too. I walked slowly. I followed the other passengers. I saw a big sign, "Exit." My steps felt heavy. I entered the airport. People were waiting. Some held signs. Some held flowers. Some hugged their families. I searched for my son, but I did not see him. I looked again, left, right, nothing. My heart dropped. Did he forget? Did I come for nothing? I stood there. People passed by. Nobody looked at me. I felt small. I felt lost. Minutes passed. Then I heard a voice. "Excuse me, Ma'am. Are you Martha?" I turned around. A young woman stood there. She had a kind face. She was holding a phone. Yes, I said. My voice was weak. She smiled. Your son sent me. He could not come. He had an important meeting. He asked me to bring you to him. I felt something break inside me. My son was not here. I travelled all this way, and he was not here. I nodded. Okay, she took my bag. Follow me. I walked with her. I did not say anything. We went outside. Outside a car was waiting. She opened the door. Please get in. I sat in the car. The door closed. The city lights passed by. My heart was heavy. He did not come. He sent someone else. I wanted to cry, but I did not. The car stopped. The woman smiled. We are here. I looked outside. It was a tall building. She opened the door for me. I stepped out. Your son is waiting inside. She said. I walked in the elevator, went up, the doors opened. I saw him. He stood there in a suit. He looked older, taller, stronger. But his face was still my son's face. I wanted to smile, but I waited. I wanted him to speak first. He looked at me. His mouth opened, then he closed it. He took a step forward, then he said, Mom, I'm so sorry. His voice cracked. His eyes filled with tears. I did not expect that he walked to me. He took my hands. He held them tight. I wanted to be there. I tried, but I couldn't leave. I looked at my son, my grown son. He was not a boy anymore. But now in this moment he looked like one. I smiled. I held his hands. I said, I am here now. We sat together in silence for a while, just watching the lights outside the window of his apartment in Mapleview. The city looked alive, but peaceful. I could hear the distant hum of cars and the occasional horn, but inside it was quiet and still. Mom, Daniel said, breaking the silence. Do you remember that night when the rain wouldn't stop, and we had no roof that didn't leak? I laughed softly. Of course I do. We had to use every pot and bucket we had to catch the water. You were just a little boy, and you said, one day I'll build you a house where the roof never cries. He smiled, a little embarrassed. I meant it. I touched his arm gently. You did. And now look around. You built more than a house. You built a life. He nodded, his voice lower now. But I forgot something important along the way. I shook my head slowly. No, Daniel, you didn't forget. You just got busy. Life moves fast, and when we're chasing something, we don't always look back. What matters is you remembered in time. I'm here now. We're here. Tears welled up in his eyes again. I wanted to come to Riverdale more often. I wanted to visit, to see you, but work, life, everything just kept pulling me further away. I know, I said softly, and I didn't want to be a weight pulling you back. I wanted you to fly. That's what we do, us mothers. We let go so our children can soar. Daniel stood up and walked to the shelf nearby. He picked up a small, worn-out photo in a wooden frame. It was a picture of the two of us, taken when he was just 10. I remembered that day. We had gone to the town fair, and he'd insisted we ride the Ferris wheel. I kept this with me through university, through my first job, every move, he said. Whenever I felt like giving up, I looked at this. I remembered what you gave up for me, what you taught me. I stood and walked to him. I took the photo from his hands and smiled. And now I have you. He hugged me again, tighter this time. I'm sorry, Mum, for the silence, for the years. I rested my head on his shoulder. You came back. That's all that matters. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of fresh coffee and warm toast. Daniel was already in the kitchen, bustling around like he'd been doing it every day. Morning, Mum, he said cheerfully. Hungry? I chuckled. Always. He served me breakfast just the way I liked it. Scrambled eggs, a little pepper, a slice of buttered toast, and that special jam I used to make at home. How did you get this? I asked, surprised. I called Aunt Celia, he said, grinning. She mailed me a few jars. Said you'd love that little surprise. I shook my head in disbelief. You really did remember everything. We spent that day together, walking around Mapleview. They looked at me with respect, not just because I was his mother, but because of the way he spoke about me. It was in their eyes. That night, as we sat on the balcony under the stars, Daniel turned to me and said, Stay, Mum. Not just for a visit. Stay with me. I was quiet for a while. What about the store? What about everything back in Riverdale? I can help you find someone to manage it, or we can go back together sometimes. But here, I can take care of you now. Let me do that. Tears filled my eyes again, but they were warm tears. Tears of love, of return, of belonging. Okay, I whispered. I'll stay. In the days that followed, Daniel made space for me in his home and in his life. He didn't just make a room for me. He made me feel needed again, valued, loved, and every now and then I would sit on the same balcony, the lights of Mapleview twinkling around me, and think about the road that had led me here. From a small village girl named Margaret, who once traced letters by candlelight, to a mother, a businesswoman, and now a beloved guest in her son's life once more. Life is long, it winds and bends. It can break your heart and then mend it again. But love always finds